Hey, how are you? Good? Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. So me and my uncle have saved the world a couple times. You're welcome for that. Alright, you probably have questions. Let me elaborate. At the risk of inflating his ego, I owe a great many things to my uncle. A lot of my interests and pastimes can be traced back to him, whether it was things that he gave me or just things I saw him doing. Games? He's gotten me dozens of them. Superheroes? Always wondered what all those characters on his shirts were about. The classics? He knew which ones I really needed. Heck, I even gave D&D a shot after watching him play it a ways back, hearing him talk about Critical Role. And now I'm lucky to have found friends who share all these interests with me. I think there's something to say, though, that while the validation I have from my core group of friends means the world to me, before I had all of them, I had him. He showed me worlds I never knew about. My mother was the giver of books. My uncle was the giver of games. I looked at him and I saw that just because you were an adult doesn't mean you had to give up the things you love. So I haven't, and neither has he. We've both continued to collect and play and watch and just take in and enjoy games, movies, and characters. You can ask why we don't grow up, move on, get some new hobbies, get more adult ones. But what are we if not the things that make us smile? Who can tell you to turn away from the things that bring you joy in the world? Joy is the least we deserve, and it's certainly something we could all use a lot more of. Now that I'm at an age where we can partake in a lot of these things together, many days have been spent diving deep into games we can get our hands on. But what we're always in search for, our true white whale, have been multiplayer RPGs. You don't get many story-heavy co-op games, which makes enough sense. The more players you add to something, the less focused the players tend to become. Less focus means less attention spent on the stories being presented, and with RPGs, well, that's like half the fun. Especially with the classics. Thankfully, we do have one series that's tried and true. The Tales series. Now, this is not a full review, nor is it a praising of the Tales of series. The Tales games are a pretty mixed bag, consisting of varying qualities. Except Symphonia. Symphonia goes hard. But a classic JRPG romp, with solid action RPG gameplay and interesting worlds and stories with each entry, almost all with co-op options, elevates the series to something that I think is admirable, and should be given full credit for, giving an experience offered by few other games. Plus, they never end. Seriously, each one's anywhere from 60 to 80 hours, and there's just so many of them. For Pete, it's like there's 17 of these games. And with this wide array of stories to tackle, and with the promise of an RPG experience you don't have to have solo, me and my uncle have begun working our way through these games. It's been a wild ride every time. We've spent hours upon days exploring these games thoroughly to see everything they have to offer. As of writing this, we've played through Zestria, Beseria, Abyss, and of course, Symphonia, which has easily been our favorite, but we also played it first, so we might be a bit biased. None of them are perfect games, but there are games that bring us joy, and sometimes that's enough. Every time is a new group, a new threat, a new world, and every time we've met the challenge head on and overcome anything they've thrown at us. People always fall in love, people are always lost. There's hardship and joy and grief and determination. Always in the end, hope. The world is always going to end, and we always make sure it doesn't. For a time, we are heroes. For a time, we fight side by side and struggle against conflicts that we can change, that we have control over. It often feels like you lose control of more and more things in your life, especially when you get older. That's something I think both of us are feeling. It's hard to push through the rough patches because they get rougher every time. And it can feel like the world's ending, and there's nothing you can do about it. Over time, it gets harder to find time to do the things that make you happy, with the people that make you happy. But what you can do, when you get that sinking feeling, when things get harder, when it feels like the world is going to end, is look forward and find those moments to do the things that make you smile. And if you got someone, bring them along for the ride. Look forward to those moments you do have, because that's what can pull you through. Right now, we've just started Vesperia, and it's shaping up to be another highlight in the series. But what I really cherish about all these games isn't their quality, it's that they're a journey that we got to have together. An adventure I can now have with my uncle, now that I'm grown and able. One where I'm not some starry-eyed kid idolizing him, but rather one where we're both just two dudes, hanging out. That's the time I'll always remember having with my uncle. Spending what time we have together. Grown, but still loving the same things that we've always loved. So don't worry. We'll keep making sure the world doesn't end anytime soon. No need to thank us.